Greetings, ladies and melogents, and welcome to this latest edition of RE093, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Hard Lessons, written by LgFatherAnthrocite. Gerd Lexel was searching in the small alcove where the supplies were kept for a stupid fastener when the bomb hit his squad's location. That is all that saved his life. A loose screw, as the humans would call it. Gerd Lexel remembered seeing the flash, and then nothing, as fractions of a moment later, he was hit by the twin waves of pressure and fire the human ordnance had caused. He awoke in a wide room on what felt like a perch couch assembled by artisans. It conformed so well to his underbelly. He tried to move, but was surprised to find that all his limbs were held down at the third articulation with a soft and unyielding pressure. A few moments after he began to struggle, a soft ding alerted the other occupants of the room that he was awake. He looked down at his forelimbs and was confused to see that they ended in metal plates near the second articulation. He hissed in confusion. Just then, a voice from his left spoke. "They were damaged by the explosion. Do you remember the explosion?" Gerd Lexel continued to stare in dismay and horror at his mangled limbs. He chuffed, signaling an affirmation of his memory. Two small limbs, far too close together, stepped into his field of vision, and he finally managed to tear his eyes away from his now useless forelimbs and look into the face of his captor. Standing just over 3 yearlings, approximately 5 feet tall, covered in white garments with long brown hair and forward-facing tri-colored eyes, auditory condenser flaps on either side of its head, and a mouthful of teeth was showing off in a continuous, and at least to Gerd Lexel, disconcerting fashion. "Good. It's good you remember. Gerd Lexel of the Sigliv. I'm Maggie Jones of the Terrans. I'm a combat medic. You're in a Terran combat recovery ward. Do you know what that means?" The creature looked directly into his eyes, while continuing to display dentition. She had made an attempt at saying his name, but lacked the physiology to truly pronounce it. Gerd Lexel stared at the human for a moment, unsure of so many things. He was in a human soldier clinic. He was captured. "Am I to be made a slave?" he said. The Sigliv were not a slave-keeping race, but there were some in the galaxy. Humans with whom the Sigliv were currently at war were rumored to be slave-keepers. Many of their conquered worlds were populated by humans, as well as the species that had lost those worlds to the humans. But many were also populated only by humans. Many of the fighting forces from the human military were not humans, leading many to believe they simply could not use the inhabitants as slaves and instead sent them to die as cannon fodder in the war. Humans were not part of the alliance, and so cultural exchange was limited. The Sigliv had gone to war against the humans because the humans were living on a planet that the Sigliv was granted possession of by the alliance. When the Sigliv colonists arrived, they had destroyed the human colony. The humans retaliated by invading the planet with military troops, killing the defending soldiers and loading all of the colonists onto a cargo vessel and sending them back to the Sigliv homeworld. The Sigliv then mobilized against the outsiders. "Humans do not keep slaves. We haven't done that in over a millennium. No, you are here to be healed. You see these plates? Look at the surface." She touched the control combat device she held, and Gerd Lexel felt a gentle pressure holding down his forelimb's release. He turned the end of the forelimb to look at the plate, and noticed it contained a small raised studs and some contact plates. The human continued to talk as she moved around to his side. "These are contact plates, and they allow you to take control of devices that can be hooked onto them. To start with, we have these." She pushed a small cart into his view, and on it, Gerd Lexel saw 2 Sigliv forelimb ends, complete with 6 digits after the third articulation. They were made of some sort of shiny plastic. She picked one up using both hands, as it was nearly half her height and length. "Hold out your left forelimb." He extended the remnants of his limb, and with a practiced ease, she aligned the studs to the small channels of the end of the prosthesis and slid it down over the studs, locking it into place with a turn and twisting the base. As she twisted the base, a small cuff extended, covering the ragged interface of the Sigliv flesh and the contact plate. "There we go. Good as new. Try wiggling your fingers," she said, waving her own left appendage as 5 digits in a cyclic motion. Gerd Lexel waved his new fingers around. He turned the limb over, looking at it from all angles. He could use it without effort. He used it to touch the contact plate on his other forelimb. He was surprised to find that he felt the coolness of the metal and the pressure of the touch as well. If it were not the strange coloration, he would have thought his limb was not missing. He looked up to the human. She was showing even more teeth. Here, you try it. She rolled the card forward, and Gerd Lexel lifted the prosthetic into place. He pushed it onto the studs and twisted it into place, then extended the cosmetic cuff at the interface. He wiggled his fingers on the new limb and then touched the two prostheses together. Now these are just temporary replacements, training units that are going to be replaced with a personalized set. The coloring will be really close matched to your scale pattern. It takes a while to manufacture the custom ones, so until we can work through the queue, you can use these, okay? Any questions? Maggie Jones, why have you done this for me? I'm your enemy. I should be dead, but you have saved me. You have saved me, but I'm not whole. I'm not whole, so you made me whole. I am whole. But you do not keep slaves. Am I to be kept as a prisoner? I do not understand. Gerd Lexel looked at his captor, tilting his head slightly. My kind are good at war, Gerd Lexel. In this entire recorded history of my world, we were at war with each other, right up until we learned that we were not alone in the universe. After that, we were at war with other races. This has taught us a number of very hard lessons, and the ones I'm about to share with you are the important ones. Pay attention. First, humans thrive on conflict as a species. We challenge ourselves to achieve ridiculous goals. We play more competitive sports and games than any other species we have met, and we eat things most species classify as toxic because it's a challenge. Second, winning means innovation. Maggie began to roll up her sleeves of her shirt as she spoke. To win at all those competitions, at all those games, at all those wars, we are constantly searching for more and better methods, training and tactics, new weapons and equipment. Third, we learn from failure and loss, even when that failure is our own, even when it is disgraceful, even when it hurts. Fourth, and most importantly, we learned that conflict with someone, something, some species cannot mean to hate it. If you hate something you have conflict with, you would try to eradicate it. And when the conflicts are with your own species, that means you hurt yourself. Humans don't hate the Sigliv. We never wanted a war with you. We just wanted to be left alone. That's why we sent back your colonists. We were being kind, but your leaders mistook it for arrogance or weakness, or God knows what. Now, here we are, two crippled combat veterans with more in common than not. She twisted her own arm off to reveal the contact plate just below the first articulation, her shoulder. The last lesson humans learn from the thousands of years of war is this. When the fight is over, it is over. No grudges, no hate, no animosity. Someone wins and someone loses. Who won isn't important as how they won. Did they do it with dignity and respect? Did they show the losers they were respected? Did they honor the sacrifice of the dead and the fallen on all sides? There are a great many Terran colonies where humans and aliens live together because we have learned these lessons and respected our enemies and made them our friends. Sadly, not everyone understands these lessons, and they fight until there is no one left. These are our greatest losses, when we cannot reach our enemies to teach them these lessons. Maggie retracted her arm and rolled her sleeve down. We'll fix your wounds and give you your freedom. It took humans over 3,000 years of pain and blood and death to learn these things. You can return to fighting us, or you can learn your lesson. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Bushmaster 177, Henry the Red, Caspar Arnholtz, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Elijah Silvercross, Dragzoon WRE, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.